I'm Sherry Pavlovich, the sustainable DIY diva behind Confessions of a Refashionista. Now, I spent over 22 years living and working abroad in Japan, England, Greece, and Germany before finally settling in Toronto. Now, of course, throughout my world travels, I have picked up some pretty awesome recipes and kind of tweaked them to make them my own. And so today I'm going to share with you one of my absolute faves. It is so simple, it is relatively nutritious, and it is perfect for making on those kind of chilly days where you just want to cozy up with a fantastic book. And it doesn't really have a name. I like to just kind of call it my chickpea concoction, because you can pretty much throw into it whatever you have on hand, which is kind of how I cook most of the time. So yeah, let's get started.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.
So obviously the main ingredient is going to be your can of rinsed and drained chickpeas. Next, some onions. You want like a healthy handful of onions. Now here is a quick tip. I hate chopping onions. Doesn't matter if they're green onions or regular onions, and this recipe, use whatever onions you have on hand. So I always like to cut up a few more and freeze them. So then the next time I am making something with onions, I just have to get it out of the freezer, dump it in the pan. Also, 2, 3, 4, 5 cloves of chopped up garlic. If you want more garlic, by all means chuck it in there, as well as a cup-ish about of vegetable or chicken stock, whichever you prefer, plus your fave spices. I am a massive fan of Montreal steak spice because there's like everything in here and it tastes awesome, as well as some paprika. I've had this since Germany. It even says paprika Edelsauce, which means it is sweet paprika. And now comes the fun part, putting it all together. So of course you need your pan on a relatively high heat, not all the way up, but relatively high. Chuck in some olive oil, or, you know, if you like another kind of oil, by all means use that. All right, you're gonna just let that get a little bit warmer. Very nice. Now, something I particularly love about cooking is the fact that it really is like DIY, and seeing as how that's what I do for a living, you know, teaching people how to refashion and remake and reuse and live more sustainably and everything, using, you know, what you already have. I find that I kind of cook the best when I am literally cooking with items that I already have lurking about my kitchen. And I can really use my creativity and really make the dish exactly as I want to make it. Recipes are okay, but I kind of prefer doing my own thing in the kitchen. Once the oil is kind of hot, you can add your garlic. Whoops. And because I'm using green onions, I'm not going to put them in right away. If I was using regular onions, I definitely would put them in at the same time as the garlic to kind of get them browned a bit. So we're just gonna let these little garlic bits get kind of browned up for a couple of minutes. And something that I find super interesting, especially as an adult and especially with all the technology that's around, is when you meet other people who were as voracious readers as I was as a child, and I absolutely love that. And that's something I'm really trying hard to instill in my own daughter, because for me, reading was absolutely an escape from my not so healthy environment and childhood that I was being raised in. Luckily, in my house, there was a massive bookshelf, and it was filled with everything. I mean, there was everything from horror to romance in there, and it was the romance novels that caught my eye when I was 12, 13, and that kind of pre-puberty age. And it's such a distinct memory for me. This book I picked up, and it was absolutely one of the ones that I believe in the olden days they were called bodice rippers. and you know, the gentleman holding the woman on the bow of a ship. And I was scandalized. I was completely scandalized after reading that book. And I never wanted to have a boyfriend if that's what you had to do. So now the garlic is all browned. We're going to chuck in our chickpeas. Love that sound. Give that a lovely good old mix. Now this goes really quickly now because you're basically just heating up these chickpeas. So throw in your stock. And we're gonna have that simmer for just a few seconds. And as I'm making this, I'm just thinking about how this is such a wonderful comfort meal. You know, when you're on those rainy days or snowy days or just generally chilly days when you want kind of a pick-me-up and to just sit somewhere with your favorite book and just cozy out a little bit. This is the perfect meal for doing that. Okay, I'm gonna check in my green onions and grab my spices. Again, you put in as much or as little as you want. You are making this to your taste. So again, do what you will. Be creative in the kitchen, have fun in the kitchen. And when it comes to what it looks like, I really don't think it needs to look that great. As long as it tastes fantastic, that's more important to having something that is plated professionally and looking magnificent. You know, I'd rather have a dish that kind of might not look like the greatest food in the world, but tastes phenomenal. And you know, it kind of is the same thing when you're reading a book. You know, it might not have the most fantastic cover in the world or the most wonderful title in the world, but once you start reading and it kind of sucks you in and you can totally escape for that half an hour or an hour or however long. I mean, sometimes I kind of lose all track of time when I'm really into reading a book. And yeah, that's when you gotta go hide in the bathroom or hide in the closet until your little kiddo comes in. Mommy, are you in there? Knocks on the door. And then after about 10 minutes, throw it in a serving bowl. And you are ready to enjoy your absolutely scrum-delicious chickpea concoction. As I said, you can just throw it over top of that leftover salad that you have in your fridge, or chuck the rest of that salad onto a tortilla. Add your chickpeas. Ooh, need my spoon. Now, something that I think is absolutely fantastic is, again, the fact that you can so easily, whip this up with chickpeas flying everywhere. And, you know, serve it with leftovers. Serve it just like this on its own in a bowl, you know, with whatever kind of, if you want to put a dressing on it, go right ahead. Why not? Or just plain. It is so delicious. And because you added the stock and everything, it has a nice kind of little sauce with it as well. So a quote that I love, that I actually have right here in my kitchen, is, "No one is born a great cook. One learns by doing." And that's from Julia Child. And you know, this can apply to so many things. You just have to do it. And that includes reading as well. You know, when you read, you are transported into a different world. You can forget your troubles, your stresses, your everything for that time that you are actually living with those characters. Plus, I absolutely adore the fact that, you know, when you're reading, it's all about your own imagination. And when something is kind of taken from book to film or book to TV, there's always you go, what? That's not how that character should look, because that's not how you pictured them. And so again, a wonderful, wonderful tip that the more you read, the more you will fall in love with reading. And it's the same with cooking, the same with everything in life. Just do it, just do it, do it, do it. Even if you think, oh, I'm terrible, I'm awful. Come on, this doesn't look fantastic. But you know what? It tastes absolutely phenomenal. So good, So good.
Subscribe to my mom's channel, follow her on social media, and buy her ebooks. Yay! Thank you!